So, we're getting ready for a wedding right now on Saturday, and I thought I'd go through kind of what's in our bag when we head out to a wedding for two shooters shooting kind of in a candid, non-traditional manner. Um, the cameras we use, primarily I use the D810, and Shelby uses the D750, and then we also have a D7000, which is recording this. We just kind of use that as a backup, or honestly, it sits around my hip as kind of a lens holder. Um, our lens setups, we have the 50mm, which is my favorite, dirt cheap, amazing, super sharp lens, 1.8. We also have an 85 1.8, same kind of thing, super sharp. That's Shelby's #1 lens. He uses it for almost everything. And then we also have a Tokina 11 to 16, Tokina 16 to 28. We had the 11 to 16. It was a great lens. We used it for 3 or 4 years. And then now that we use full frame, we kind of switched up. We wanted to get the 20mm 1.8. Hopefully we will down the road, but availability was a little tough at the time, so we just we got the 16 to 28, and I'm really impressed with it so far. It basically is the 11 to 16, just with a little bit less distortion and a little bit more usable range, which is nice. So we pack our flash setup. We use all Yongnuo flashes. They're very cheap, really good. The build quality is fantastic for the price. Honestly, they're maybe like 2%, 3% off from the top of the mark Nikon or Canon gear. So we use the Yongnuo 568 EX2 and the EX1. Those are Canon specific, so those stay on our transceivers, and then the on-camera flash that we tend to use would be the 565. The only difference between them mainly is that these ones can do hypersync, this one cannot. So in the rarest instances where we're shooting against the sun, we'll use the 568s, but the 565 is the same flash as far as I'm concerned. The transmitter system, again, Yongnuo as well. They have a fantastic setup. These guys are super cheap too. They can all be controlled via TTL on top of this with the little display and all that. It allows you to kind of control it manually or through exposure compensation on the fly, so I can just set up my flashes once and don't worry about them, and keep working. And that's not at all what I had when I was shooting with Nikon flashes, so I'm much happier with the Yongnuo setup. It's really good. Other little guys, we have a ton of batteries, and the nice thing about this family of cameras is the D810, the 750, and 7000 all use the same battery, so we kind of got in at the right time with that. It allows us to just kind of like buy the same battery and not be wasting money with different battery systems and different whatever. We also use all SanDisk Extreme Pro cards. They're just reliable. I've had problems with other cards. I don't trust anything else. We're trying out the Eneloop batteries. So far so good. I'm liking them. But in order to really see if they're better than the Panasonic or not the Panasonic, the Energizers or the other ones that we had, we'll really have to have them for a good year and use them a lot before we know. We also bring macro tubes to get the ring shots. Only really rarely use these, maybe for like 6 photos the whole day. So they're there, they're light, they run on AFS, and you can control them just the same as you would normally, so it's kind of nice. They do cut down the light a little bit, so we try to use just like the 12mm or the 20mm, and that's it. Little gadgets. Oh yeah, so we use slings on our cameras. These are fantastic, knockoff brand. I don't know. They're not quite as sturdy as the real deal, but at a tenth of the price, I mean, you can afford to buy 10 of them, and then they'll just last you long anyways. I've never had a problem with the camera falling off of them, so that's all that really counts, right? And the only thing is they fray up, even though the stitching's not that great on this guy, so whatever. We bring chargers just in case. We never really use them, but just in case. Phone charger as well can come in handy. And then we bring, for like mounts, we have this little auxiliary clamp. We have another auxiliary clamp we use as well. Rarely we use it, but some instances where we need to put a flash to rim light some people during the dances or whatever, and we can't you know, set up a whole stand. It's you can just bolt it to the top of a door frame, or you know, all kinds of stuff like that. So it makes it a lot lighter weight for us to get what we need to get. I use a Benro carbon fiber tripod with a ball head, a Beiki ball head, or yeah, Horusu, you know, the Korean one. Anyway, I can't pronounce it. I'm gonna just continue on. But this has been a reliable friend. I use it for all my shoots almost. It's super light. I mean, the build quality is pretty, well, I wouldn't say it's top notch, but it's definitely over 80% there. You know, it's there's some plastic bits, and I wish this was a little bit better, but I mean, for $130 for the ball head and the tripod, I mean, that's a really good setup. We also bring 1 or 2 light stands. Pretty self-explanatory there. Now we bring it all in this in-case bag, this backpack. I like this backpack because you can fit a lot of stuff in there, including documents and laptops and anything else we need to bring. But the coolest thing about it, I think, is that it's low profile. It really doesn't look like a camera bag. Until you have tripods strapped to the side of it, you don't know for sure that this is a camera bag. And most of our gigs are, all the weddings we do, generally speaking, are 110 guests or less. So for us, security isn't as major a concern as it would be if we were shooting 300-person weddings. There's a lot more anonymous people there. In this case, like, we generally know by the end of the night, we know pretty much everyone there. So it makes it a little bit easier for us to bring our gear and kind of leave like the tripods and some of the non-essential stuff in the bag behind the DJ booth or something like that. Somewhere that's tucked away, but it doesn't really draw attention to itself. It doesn't scream, hey, I've got a lot of expensive things in here. And then secondly, this is kind of an auxiliary little bit. We always bring kind of a trick, you know? So we always bring a few tricks. One of them that I love, Shelby really loves, is using prisms. So if she's shooting shots, especially during like the prep where we have time to kind of like mess around, she's shooting shots of the bride. I mean, it's really nice to get as little in the background as possible and make it really just like about the beauty shots and all that. The prism helps kind of shoot, you know, getting those out of focus elements on an edge of a frame. Say there was something that she didn't want to show in the corner of the frame, the way she has it set up. Putting a prism over top of that allows her to get out of focus elements from a different part of the room into the shot. It's kind of a neat effect. We use it sparingly. I mean, it's kind of like a tilt shift, but also it's also kind of like a light leak. It's a little film looking. It's, you know, it's something. It's stylistic, definitely, and we try to use it sparingly, but we bring a lot of tricks and tips and little bits that we do in order to kind of spruce things up and keep them interesting. And one we're going to do on this wedding is we're going to do the steel wool on fire trick with the whisk and just whip it around and get this big, you know, bit of sparks flying all over the place. It's going to look beautiful. That's one that the bride saw in some of our other work that we've been doing, just, you know, experimenting on our own, and she said we really need to get that. We're also bringing some portable Christmas lights for a few other shots. It's these little tricks that help you really keep in mind how you're going to shoot all of the shots of the bride and groom, all those romantic kind of shots you need to get. It makes it a lot easier when they're focusing more on the cool aspect of like a little trick, a little circus act almost. And so it allows them to act a little bit more natural and stop worrying so much about what they look like, which inevitably makes them look better. And then lastly, I think the most important part for us, especially given, you know, that it's 2014, these cameras really, I mean, they're amazing performers, but they're not out of the price range for just about anybody. Like, a lot of people can afford the basic kind of digital photography gear to get a lot of the photos we're doing, and it really is important for you to remember that nowadays it's more and more about skill and less about gear. That being said, we always want to make sure that we're giving You know, we're operating at full capacity, and so we bring, you know, granola bars just in case. I mean, we're burning calories like crazy running around, so we might get a little tired, a little peckish. We've got granola bars. We'll probably have other snacks too, fruit, whatever. Tylenol, big lifesaver. Inevitably, I almost always get a headache because I'm caffeine addicted, and if I don't have enough coffees in my day, then inevitably, you know, on a wedding day, there's not time to stop for a coffee usually, so that always happens. Bottles of water, super handy. As you noticed, I talk a million miles an hour, and I dry my mouth out pretty quick. So it's nice to have some water. And then usually we will also pack a couple Red Bulls, keep your energy up, keep your energy up, you can keep your outlook positive, keep the pictures flowing. You know, if something bad happens and you've got a positive attitude about it, it won't seem bad at all, and your clients won't see it as a bad thing. They'll just see it as a little hiccup on their way to getting amazing photos on an amazing day. So the big thing for us has always been making sure that we are operating 110%, that we feel fantastic, and that we bring that energy to the wedding day, so that everything goes off without a hitch. Yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'm going to be doing a whole series of videos like this, talking about the different setups I bring to a variety of different photo gigs, because I do a lot of different stuff. So, yep, just hit me up in the comments. Thanks.